Okay, today's topic is Chapter 8, Lesson 1. It covers circumference. When you're dealing with the circumference comes back to the circle. And when you're talking about circumference, you're talking about the distance around the circle. Again, the circumference is basically the distance around the circle. You could think about circumference as just finding the regular length of an object. Let's say we have this length over here, but instead this circle is unwind to give you this length over here. So for circumference, there is a specific formula for the circumference, which is circumference is equal to 2 pi r, or you could also use circumference is equal to pi d. Alright, this is important to note. Let's say this is the center of the circle here. This right here is considered to be your diameter, and from the center of the circle to any point on the circle, this is called your radius. Notice if you look at these two formulas here, diameter is equal to 2r, 2 times the radius. So if you have one radius plus another radius, that will give you the diameter. Again, diameter is equal to what? Radius plus the radius. So all you need to have for this right here is you need to know this formula, or need to know this formula. Both formulas will be on the reference sheet. I repeat, both formulas will be on the reference sheet. The other thing is you need to know what this symbol is. This symbol right here, the Greek letter pi. Alright, pi has a set number, which it's an irrational number, but for this class 8 we just keep it as 3.14. It keeps on going, so I'll put dot dot dot. Alright, 3.14. So we talked about the radius, we talked about the diameter, we talked about the center, and we talked about the circle. So if we go ahead and apply and find the circumference, alright, we'll go ahead and find the circumference. Let's say this is page 619. Page 619. Let's go ahead and do number 19 as an example. So for number 19, we have the distance is equal to 7 inches. The question says find the radius or the diameter. So we need to find the radius or diameter of each given circle with the given dimension. Well, in this case right here, if we think about the circle, we already have the diameter, so we have to find the radius. Well, remember what I told you guys before, if this is the center of the circle, the diameter goes from one point to the other, so this is going to be 7 inches. In order for us to find the radius is always going to be what? What's the radius, guys? The radius is always going to be what? Half of the diameter. So if this is, let's say if the diameter is 10, what's the radius going to be? If the diameter is 20, what is the radius going to be? So in this case, if the diameter is 7, what's the radius going to be? Very good. The radius is equal to 3.5. Alright? So let's take a look at the other one. Alright? We're still on page 619. We're going to go ahead and do number 20. So this is number 20 here. The diameter is equal to 30 meters. So again, this is important to note. This is the diameter. diameter is 30 centimeters. We're trying to find the radius. Who could tell me how to find the radius? Yes.
30 over half.
Very good. The radius is equal to what? Half of the diameter. So if the radius in this case is 30, what's half of 30?
15.
Radius is what? 15 centimeters. The radius is 15 centimeters. I did it that way, that's fine. Okay? Any questions on finding the other part? If you're given the radius, you can find the diameter. And if you're given the diameter, you can find the radius. So we did two of them with diameter. Let's go ahead and do two more. In this case, I have the radius is 4.2, and I have the radius here to be 12. Who could tell me what the diameter is going to be and how to find it? How do we find the diameter in this case right here? Yes. Alright. You multiply, in order for you to find the diameter, you what? You multiply it by 2, right? So in this case, the diameter is going to be 2 times 4.2. So the diameter is going to be what again? Very good. 8.4. Alright. So who could tell me this one over here? Go ahead.
So since the radius is 12, when you would do it, it's 12 times 2, that would be 24, and 24 would be your diameter.
Very good. So this will be your response. Does anybody have any questions in changing it from radius to diameter? So we have an understanding that if you're given the diameter, you can change it to the radius, and if you have the radius, you could also change it to the diameter. Correct? Alright. So now let's go ahead and actually find the circumference. Ready? So we're actually finding the circumference right now. So if we find the circumference here, alright, let's take a look at number 22. If we look at number 22, we have the following circle. So we have the center, and we're going to a given point on the circle. This is 5 inches here. Okay? So if we find the circumference, remember the two formulas, circumference is equal to 2 pi r, or we have the circumference is equal to what? Pi d. Both of these are correct. In this case, guys, which one should we use? Should we use the first one or the second one?
The first one.
The first one.
Oh yeah, you see I was right.
Why? Because you have the radius. You do not have the diameter. But you can use the second one if you want. So in this case, you have C is equal to 2 pi times 5. I know in Khan Academy they leave it in terms of pi. Alright? But in some instance, the book or the question might tell you use 3.14. So in this case, we're going to use, for pi, we're going to use 3.14. Alright? So all of this is multiplication. So what do we multiply? Yes?
You do 2 times pi.
Okay.
Give me 6.28.
Alright, what up? 2 times pi, which pi is 3.14, times 5. So you said multiply these two first.
And then
6 point what?
6.28.
Alright, then you multiply the last two. Gives you what?
4 times 3.
Wait, it's 5. It's not 3. Where did you get it?
Oh, I'm sorry. 5.
It would give you 31.4.
31.4 inches. And you're absolutely right.
Why is that your new? Is that your new gadget?